Okay, I wanted anarchy down the stretch of the baseball playoffs, and boy, I think I'm getting it.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called these days. And on Instagram, I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast Instagram, but the best way to get a hold of me is right here on the YouTube page. And if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to use that hashtag EverydaySully. That helps me find the comments that are out there. I'm going to be doing a viewer question episode either Tuesday or Wednesday of this upcoming week. And so put in your questions, put in things you want me to respond to right then and there. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. And let's go through the trivia question, which I realized I changed it at one point. I phrased it one way in one episode and different way in another. But here's officially what the question was. Who was the last Pirates player to score a postseason run? And Big John 08865 got it correct. It was Justin Morneau. Justin Morneau, who had a cameo with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2013, which was their first trip to the postseason since the 1992 National League Championship Series. And that was the last time they scored a run. But Sully, I thought that they appeared in the 2014 and 2015 postseason. They did. And they were shut out both times. In fact, 2013 was the last time a Red or a Pirate scored a run in the postseason because the Reds were shut out in the COVID series in what year was that? It was 2020. I think that was. Yeah, Sully. That's when we had COVID. But there you go. Yeah, the Pirates lost in a complete game victory by Adam Wainwright in the final game of the 2013 Division Series. Then they faced a complete game shutout by Madison Bumgarner in the 2014 wild card game and a complete game shutout by Jake Arrieta in the 2015. So they didn't score a run, even though that 2015 team, I think if they got past Jake Arrieta, I think they would have won the pennant. They were a terrific team, but it's been a while. But the Pirates are not in on this, and there are several. I'm going to get rid of that. Good job, Big John. A bunch of games have not yet been played, but your pal Sully was short an episode this week because of some technical problems. So I'm firing this one out, even though there's still some games that have yet to be played. And one of the best games that was played this afternoon, however, took place in Toronto. And it was an absolutely wild game that was played between the Blue Jays and the Baltimore Orioles. And it was one that the Blue Jays took the lead immediately. They're up 2-bagel before the Blue Jays even came to bat. And Scherzer let up 2 runs in that first inning. They then pitched 5 innings, didn't let up another run after that. But the Blue Jays just seemed a little bit out of sync. And it was a 3-1 game going into the 8th. And it was 4-2 going to the 9th inning. And the Orioles just looked like they were in control. It was not a domination game, but it was a game that was like, it's just one of those games. It's one of those games where the Blue Jays just didn't have it. Their offense just looked a little bit out of sync, and they were able to push a run across here, there. But, Isaiah kind of Falefa struck out in a key moment in the 8th inning. It just looked, and then the Orioles got a home run from Kobe Mayo that just looked like, okay, it's 4-2. They're not going to get it. And then, with 1 out and nobody on, anarchy. It started with anarchy. It started with Dalton Varsho doing one of my favorite things in baseball, which is laying down a bunt. I'm sorry, people who don't like bunts. Bunts can be great. Bunts can be anarchy. Bunts are putting the ball in a place where you're not expecting it to be and causing a little bit of panic. And Aiken, who is the pitcher for Baltimore, threw the ball into right field, and next thing you know, Varsho was on second. Now, he wasn't even the tying run, but it just, at that moment, changed the complexion of the inning. Clement singles, Loperfido single, I think that's pronounced his name. Next, you know, it's 4-3. Then Jimenez ties the game, and then Kirk hits a sac fly, and there was a catcher interference too. By the way, you know, we got to start, you know, catchers are trying to do all these little things like framing and everything and sticking their glove out a little bit more. I've seen more catcher interferences in this year than I have in the first, I don't know, 50 some odd years of my baseball fandom. We're doing something weird. But that bunt, I loved it. It started, they needed something. The Blue Jays offense was dead, was absolutely dead. And he laid down the bunt and caused a little bit of anarchy. That's why, again, I love bunt plays because it forces people to get out of their comfort zone. And my favorite parts of baseball, my favorite highlights of baseball are not always the great strikeout or the upper deck home run. It's when that weird, the ball falls in at the right place and the runners are going, or someone makes a diving catch and the guy at first base didn't realize and throws it back. That's why the Endy Chavez catch is one of my favorite moments in the history of baseball. That's why I love moments of the ball gets this way, they pick it up and they throw it away and the run comes in. Bunts bring about anarchy. Bunts can kickstart a dead offense. Do I say bunt all the time? No, but if I see, I've always thought when they had those massive shifts going on, lay a bunt down there. Why not? If they're giving you a hint, and if you can, and the worst thing happens, you ground out or a double play or whatever. Okay, fine. But the best thing happened to the Blue Jays. With one out, nobody on, Varsho we're swinging away. That's not working. Let's try something else. And it was exciting. It was fun. And the Blue Jays did something that they needed to do. They needed to win. They played very well against Houston. Now they're playing well against Baltimore. They love to play well against teams that are in orange uniforms. There's 2 weeks of baseball left to play. And as long as they keep winning, they hold the Yankees back a little. Don't let them catch up. They will get the bye in the wild card series. And you know what? They've been pitching well, and they've been showing a little bit of guts. The Blue Jays bullpen is still questionable, but they're getting the quality pitching they need, and they're pitching to the score in many ways. Now, the bullpen let up a key home run in the 9th inning today, and that's not good. But they're showing some grit. They're showing some gravel. They're showing some stones. I think those all work together. And with that, we got a little anarchy. And that's always a very good thing. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you got to give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people, and it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. Now, Nutrafol is simple to add to your day, 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed, and it's easy. And whether you're at work or out with your friends or even just getting ready for the morning, Nutrafol gives you more confidence in your daily routine. And you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is an NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. Martin Raymer is listening, said, good job, Blue Jays. Another dramatic comeback. You guys never cease to amaze when you guys never give up. Hats off to Captain Kirk for the game-winning sac fly. Let's go, Jays. Hey, the Blue Jays brethren in expansion in 1977, we got to give them the credit where credit's due. Some people think I hate them. the Seattle Mariners. Actually, the Mariners are one of my favorite teams. But remember, they got swept by Tampa Bay. They lost the first game against Atlanta on September 5th. And they play later today. They played right down the 5 in Anaheim. They haven't lost since then. They beat the tar out of the Braves in Atlanta 10-2 and 18-2. And ever since then, it's been a trip to 7-Eleven. Do you know why? It's been big gulp time in Seattle. But tight, 3 straight tight wins against St. Louis, including a walk-off in 13 innings in that marathon game against the Cardinals, and then a walk-off against the Angels on Thursday, an airtight 2-1 game. They were 4 games out on September 3rd. It is not 10 days later, they made up 4 games. They are tied with the Astros. I mean, that's unbelievable. In 10 days, they made up 4 games. And it is very, very real for them to win the AL West. Do you know why? Because as of this recording, they're 1 game out because Houston won. But if the Mariners can defeat the Angels later tonight, there you go. And you've got to give this team credit. You've got to give Dan Wilson credit. This is a wonderful argument for Cal Raleigh, who's having this unbelievable season. Now, granted, Aaron Judge is starting to hit again, too. And the Red Sox and Yankees pulled a Freaky Friday because everything that the Yankees looks bad doing against the Red Sox a few weeks ago, the Red Sox are doing that right now. They can't drive in a big run. They're making dumb plays. They're leaving too many runners in scoring position. Suddenly, Devin Williams is Raleigh fingers, and the Yankees are thinking about sweeping the Red Sox. Who had that on their bingo card? But what happened with that is actually amazing news for folks in Seattle, for folks in Texas, and for folks in Houston, because the Red Sox could fall out of the playoffs. Yeah, they could be. They're only 1 game up right now on the logjam of AL West teams. Now, for the last few weeks, it's like, well, one of these teams is going to be out of it: the Houston Astros, the Seattle Mariners, or the Texas Rangers. Not so fast. The Red Sox have been floundering since, yes, they beat the A's twice. They won the series against Sacramento. Their offense looks out of sync since losing Roman Anthony, which could be amazing news for the Mariners, Rangers, and Astros, and not so good news in Boston. But the Mariners keep on winning. If they win today, they get to hold serve with the Houston Astros. And oh yeah, by the way, the Rangers completed that another come from behind victory of beating the New York Metropolitans, who haven't, I think the last game they won was the 1986 World Series. And that is causing consternation because now again, the Giants haven't played yet, and they're playing LA in that game starting in about 15 minutes or so. The fact of the matter is the Mets could fall out of a playoff spot. The team that was the best record in baseball in mid-June could be on the outside looking in with 3 wildcard teams. That is a much larger than 0 chance of that happening right now. Now, if you take a look, let's take a look at the Mariners right now. They're going to be playing the Angels, then 3 games at Kansas City, who they can be tough, and then comes that massive 3-game series against the Astros that could decide everything. And did I mention everything? Now, the Rangers have those games with the Mets. Then they're facing the Astros. That could be amazing for them. If you're the Mariners, who do you root for in that series? Then they're playing the Marlins, Twins, and Guardians. And while the Guardians are pitching pretty well, and the Marlins are can play very well, thank you very much, they could make a good run at it. Meanwhile, the Reds are playing the A's, and then the Cardinals, and then the Cubs, and then the Pirates, and then that Brewers series. So the Reds could creep back into all this. But the Mets. After the Rangers, they've been playing a tough San Diego team who has thoughts of, going far dancing in their head. Then they're playing the Nationals. You don't think the Nationals don't want to give the Mets a forearm shiver? Then they're playing another playoff team in the Cubs. And then finishing up in Miami. By the way, they finished up 2007 against Miami as well. There's absolutely, you don't know what's going to, I mean, if the Mets fall out of it at this point, I mean, the momentum of that could just be disastrous. If the Reds keep winning, good things will be happening there. Now, meanwhile, the Brewers are currently underway. They're losing to the St. Louis Cardinals, but the big, and who could catch them at the top of that could very well be the Phillies. Now, Bam Mam 100, who's a listener here, says Phillies come back after Taijuan Walker gave up 3 in the top of the first to win 8-6. They've now won 6 in a row, and their magic number to win the NL East is just 1. Yeah, I mean, this is another game. They were down 4. I think it was Bam Man. You may have to correct me. I think they were down 4 early in a game against the Mets, and they came back to win that. And today against KC, they were down 3 bagel in the first, and they came back to win that. And you know what? Again, a little bit of a broken record here, but the fact of the matter that the Phillies have responded to the Wheeler injury says a whole hell of a lot about the makeup of this team. A lot. This is a team that I picked to win the World Series, and they could still do it. You're not asking Taijuan Walker to be Steve Carlton or even Cole Hamels for that matter. You're asking him to hang in there and pitch to the scoreboard. And you take a look at Kyle Schwarber, who hit his 51st home run. Again, his batting average is mediocre, 244. His OPS is MVP level at 938. He has his 51 homers. He has his 126 runs batted in, if you still like that stat. Everything in his ledger is MVP level except batting average. And at this point, boom, it doesn't even matter. They just get the games. And by the way, kudos to Marsh for driving in those key runs in the second. I was in the first inning, I believe, to immediately put the Phillies back on the board. Psychologically, when it was 3-2, I thought, you know what? Phillies are going to win this game. They could catch up with the Brewers and see what they can do there. Either way, I wanted anarchy. I got anarchy. I don't know what's going to happen. Neither do you. And the way that the American League is set up right now, it is basically punch a ticket and you've got an okay chance. So if you are Seattle with their pitching and the way their hitting is going, you are Texas giving the ball to Jacob deGrom and having Bruce Bochy run things. You are Houston with some of the postseason pedigree that they have. You are the Yankees who are putting some of their bad moments behind, including Devin Williams, who is pitching well out of the bullpen, and Heel pitched well out of the rotation. And, it wasn't the best game for Free today, but he pitched well enough to win, which is all you need in the postseason. And then the Blue Jays finding a way, Jurassic Parking this and saying life finds a way. All of that comes together, which brings us to the Detroit Tigers. And I ended yesterday's podcast with a 7-Up moment, big gulp. But the news we got today made me feel that anarchy could lead us to Detroit as well. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, FanDuel is the best way to make your bets because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, playing a same-game parlay, or even jumping in line as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. Now, the Detroit Tigers lost in extra innings to Miami today. Troy Johnston hit 2 home runs, including a walk-off shot in the bottom of the 11th inning, and Miami won that game 6-4. And it's a game where the Tigers lost. They're still going to win the division. They have a big enough lead on that. But it was a good day to be a Tiger fan, even though the team lost in 11 innings. And that is the news from Tarik Skubal was pretty good. That it just sort of he left the game the other day with tightness in his, I think it was tightness in his rib cage. And yeah, it was on his rib cage underneath his throwing arm, and he was taken out. And you remove that Jenga piece from the Detroit Tigers, and then I'm sorry, Tigers aren't going to do piddly poo. And it looks like they were being precautious. Jeff Passan posted on Twitter or whatever it's called these days and said, and I'm going to quote it: Tarik Skubal's imaging came back clean. He plans on making his next scheduled start. Tigers manager AJ Hinch says that Skubal was optimistic after leaving last night's game with discomfort, and so there you go. They're trying to capture they're trying to be the top seed in the American League. I think the most important thing for the Tigers is to avoid the wild card series. I wouldn't push Skubal in a start he doesn't have to make just to get the number one seed over Toronto. Just be one of the top two, because that way you'll be able to have those couple of days off to rest everyone up. And the American League, there's so much parity in the American League. I mean, let's say Boston stays in it, and let's say it's Toronto and Detroit get the byes, and then you have Houston, New York, Boston, and let's just say Seattle, or if it's Texas over Boston, whatever combination that is. All those teams are kind of equal right now. So it's not like, oh boy, we don't want to face the Yankees, or oh boy, we don't want to face the Yankees or the Rangers or the Astros or the Red Sox or Seattle. They're all basically the same at this point. It's all basically coin tossing. They got to Harvey Dent this. So the most important thing for the Detroit Tigers is to just be one of the top two teams and make sure that Tarik Skubal is ready to go in game one against whichever the hell team they're going to be following. And there you go. So that's great news, because whether or not you're a Detroit Tiger fan or not, that's not the point. We want to see our big stars. We want to see our best pitchers out there playing. And we're going to see right now the Astros are winning 6-1. And the Dodgers and Giants are going to be starting in just a few minutes. And then we're going to see the Angels and the Mariners are going to be starting in about half an hour. All right, folks. This was, we got the 5 episodes in. I promised you 5 episodes, and here we are. And I love the anarchy. And thanks for those of you who are joined in on the live feed that we're doing here. And thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB game night. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Will it be the Mariners? Will it be the Brewers? Will it be the Padres? We've never had a Brewers championship or a San Diego Padres championship or a Seattle Mariners championship. Wouldn't that be cool? Would it be the Dodgers repeating? Will it be the Cubs, who everyone seems to be ignoring? I don't know, but get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night at Locked On MLB on this feed on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It's going to bring us to the trivia question. I mentioned the other day that the greatest postseason series of all time, at least the greatest that you can watch on YouTube, is the 1980 National League Championship Series between the Houston Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies. I think right up there is the I'm reading the wrong thing. I'm reading the trivia question I'm going to be doing the next day. I have them lined up here. Forgive me. Let's rewind that. I'm not even going to edit that out. I'll do a trivia question about the 1995 division series for tomorrow's show. It's live. What are you going to do? We're going to do it live. Here's the trivia question for today. What future Hall of Famer hit the only home run in the 1990 ALCS between the Red Sox and the A's? A lot of great players playing in that postseason between the Red Sox and the A's in 1990. But a future Hall of Famer hit the only home run in the entire ALCS between the Red Sox and the A's. You had the Bash Brothers A's and a Red Sox team playing in Fenway Park. In 4 games, the A's swept them. In 4 games, only 1 home run was hit between the 2 teams. Who hit it? That's a trivia question. Put it down here, and I'll read the answers on Sunday's show. Talking about the Blue Jays. Mariners, Rangers, Yankees, all these teams that are winning big and turning this September into a cornucopia of chaos. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.